Hello there. Many organizations approach digital transformation as a project, implement the technology, go live, and move on. Yet a year later, many still asking why the expected benefits haven't materialized. We've been told that lasting transformation is something organizations learn to do continuously. Is that the reality? I'm Mark Britton. I'll be exploring what that looks like today in reality on the digital ledge. And joining me today is Tom Cadman, Crimson's digital transformation director. Welcome, Tom. It's good to have you. Good to have you back on the show. How are you doing?
Not so bad, Mark.
Good, good. We were just talking before we went live that this is a topic we've gone over a few times, but the world keeps moving on, technology is moving faster. But I just wanted to step back and sort of remind ourselves. I mean, we've both been in the sector for a long time. 20 years ago, organizations were implementing CRM, they upgraded the finance platform, redesigned their processes. Today we call that digital transformation, or certainly the industry does. Is this just marketing spin, or is there actually something fundamentally different to what we were doing 20 years ago, Tom?
I think, Mark, to a certain extent, on the one hand, you could argue it's just a new approach to how we've done things in the past. I think the key thing here is traditionally we were running programs, projects, and they were sort of finite life, go through it, run the project, you'd have your outcomes, you'd have your plan, your deliverables, etc. Where digital transformation is changing now is invariably you're looking at the overarching outcomes. Are you delivering that transformation in terms of what you set out to achieve? And the other thing there is, you can argue it's living and breathing the organization. It's bringing technology, IT to the heart of your organization. And how do I transform my business? And as the adage we always say, it's not just about the technology, it's about the people, the processes, how you utilize the data, and then you've got your measurable outcomes that you're looking to achieve. And then you keep on top of those outcomes and keep re-challenging, reinvigorating. Technology moves at pace, even more so days with the rise of AI, as we all know, in terms of what's coming, how we deliver projects, how we deliver technology is all changing fundamentally. And the way we work is all changing fundamentally in terms of organizational change, etc. from that side. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it is evolving. Yeah.
Yeah. I've read a startling statistic the other day that, and it was from Gartner, and they found that fewer than half of digital initiatives achieve their intended business outcomes. So we could spin that the other way: half achieve it and they succeed, but half don't. Yeah, I mean, organizations continually invest in transformation, but they're still struggling to realize the value. What's going wrong there? Are we getting better at this? Is it getting more difficult? What's happening here?
I think there's, Mark, there's obviously challenges that organizations are facing out there in terms of obviously we know the economic climate, we know the challenges in terms of regulatory requirements. We know our friends in America, Mr. Trump is being very disruptive with his, whether it's tariffs, whether it's what he's doing with whoever he's going to go and fight with lately. In that context, it's all disruptive. The businesses are then having to work in that macroeconomic climate and deliver their business, make sure their business is efficient. And digital transformation is about supporting those initiatives, and it's about supporting the business and its overarching outcomes. You know, in terms of programs, digital programs, ultimately, I've always said projects boil down into three different things. You're either trying to grow your business in terms of increasing revenue, you're trying to make your business more efficient so you can then drive better margin and outcomes, or you've got to do with changes because the regulatory requirements are coming at you from an thing. Those fundamental remits for projects and programs, digital programs still exist, but you've got to then look at that in the overarching, what's that mean for my business, my organization? How do I translate those outcomes into my what I'm trying to achieve and deliver And as I said, it's not just about the technology. The technology is there to support a business, and make sure, say, you're running the right benefits, etc. Technology is moving at pace. We know that. As I said before, we're trying to keep up with this technology and how we apply it. How does that mean from our organisational change? What's that mean for our skills of the future, both in terms of our business and our IT colleagues? No, it is a continually evolving market that we're living in at the moment.
And I mean, I was speaking to I won't share the name on the podcast, but a well-known national home builder the other day, and they were talking about a huge project that they've gone through, and the reality is they've moved away from some very old technology, so they haven't invested for many years, like lots of organisations, and they're trying to play catch up. And it's been, I've interviewed several people across that business, and it has been incredibly difficult for them to get from A to B to play catch up while maintaining what they're doing day to day. And you just think, surely there must be change fatigue now to go back to that business, say, and we go again now. How do people keep up with this? Or is it more slower incremental change that they can now experience now that they're maybe on a modern platform?
I think there's that, Mark. There's that element of, as you said, take an organisation like that. You've got to survive the technical debt, the the heritage. I'm going to call them heritage systems, the legacy systems, as we used to call them in the old days. There's that refresh of those technologies to bring them forward. Then you've got the capabilities, and that's the key thing. You're then delivering capabilities to keep on going. The world doesn't stand still. In terms of you're in a compete situation, take a home builder there in terms of how you sell houses, things like that, the challenges that are out there. You continue evolving in terms of your proposition and how you tease it out and how you can do it. I think, end of the day, you could argue selling houses, building houses in the right locations is challenging that they're all facing. And obviously the land banks, do they exist? You've got the government coming in with its charter in terms of what it's got to achieve and what people need to build, etc. I even know, even my village where I live, Mark, they've announced Greenfield Belt. They're going to build 800 houses just literally on the edge of the village, opening up Greenbelt from that side. There's, the government is pushing initiatives to drive more, obviously, to build more houses of, say, lower cost, etc. In their case, in terms of people's affordability to buy rather than rent. So there's those macroeconomic challenges that organisations need to face up to, and that is, whether it's in property building, whether it's in social care, local government, whether it's in education sector where I do a lot of work, we're all facing those challenges. It's continually evolving. It's going to be compete in terms of that situation and how you take it forward. The key thing here is, as I said, you've got to set yourself up in terms of continual evolving improvements, and that's the way to look at it, is improvements. Obviously, we do a lot of work with Agile and things that side, and it is continual development. It's continuous tweaking to tweak your business and your processes, and ultimately the technology supports it. It should be flexible enough to support all those initiatives. In the old days, we used to go, back into previous roles. Obviously, we used to say the transition to the cloud, moving to SaaS products, give you more flexibility, business drive that side. And then you read the latest wave is, well, you won't have business systems in the future. Everything will be done through agentic AI agents. We'll all be living with the world that we all have agents serving our needs and wants, and they do everything for us. I can play golf all the time, Mark. That's my dream. But anyway, etc. Yeah, but it is the world's moving on. Yeah.
Well, realistically, when do you think we are going to be in a world where we're using agents rather than interfacing with a CRM system as we might do today?
It's quicker than you think, Mark, in terms of the technology pace that's out there already. It's whether we are geared up to recognise how you deliver those agents, what those agents do, and whether it's one agent or multiple agents. And you talk about agents talking to other agents and working on your behalf. Interesting enough, I met up with one of my friends the other day, and they've, interesting enough, bought a villa Italy. They're completely doing it all up. He set up a website the other day, and he's basically built it all completely with agents. He set up the website, built it from scratch. He just has the agent to go and build it all, added features. And even to now, he just goes in and publishes photos, puts them into Dropbox. The agent comes along, takes his photos, puts the narrative text, and pushes it up onto a blog post for him. It literally is. He digitized it from the front to back, and that's the way things are moving. Yeah, if we think about small businesses, startups like he is, how does that model apply to larger organizations, and how they can apply that to their landscape? We're all in that
Well,
complete
and then
situation. Yeah.
yeah, and that's the thing, isn't it? With some of this technology, we've all seen these things on LinkedIn where people are building agents, but they're solopreneurs, they're entrepreneurs, they're
Yeah.
as you say, small businesses. Trying to translate that into a large organisation, such as you work with a lot of universities. That's an incredible challenge. Is the reality actually that the real disruptors in the higher education will be new entrants that have that blank canvas and freedom to experiment?
Interesting enough, we were talking. I was doing some. In fact, I might be putting a blog post out on this. Mark, is what does an AI-centric university look like in the future? Yeah, and that is about reimagining how you teach, what you teach, and how you support that teaching. If you look at it today, you could argue Open University is already out there doing some of this stuff already. Your remote learning. You don't need to go physically on campus to do things, but you can do it remotely, and you can use your research agents to support you and bring that information that in learning back. The important distinction, though, is how you apply critical decisioning, critical thinking around that learning, and how you apply that and what it's telling you. Don't just take it as on face value. You need to read, digest, use it as a research tool to support your thinking. And that's where, in terms of education, I appreciate going back to education, that's where the evolving world's moving. We look at it in terms of, there's the governments have got their lifelong learning initiative that's out there. It's been talked about in terms of, it started with the Conservatives, Labour have carried on with this initiative. You'll do a degree from anywhere from 10 to 40 years, i.e. what they're saying is you don't stop learning, your continual professional development model, you're learning all the time. So effectively you're going in, you don't do your traditional degree, you still do a traditional degree over 3-4 years, but you're learning, evolving over time, and you go in and select your modules, you're learning the modules, and continue to learn through that. So do you need to be online doing that? Do you need to be physically campus doing that? Maybe for some sort of check-ins, but a lot of that research and learning is already out there. It's on the internet today. You can pull that information back, and there is how do universities transform themselves with that way of thinking. And obviously there was an article out last week about a number of universities in the UK here looking at mergers, in terms of, because of consolidation of the student numbers, and there's obviously the income, the drop off in international students, because guess what? International countries are now setting up their own universities. They're looking at it. How do they evolve and adapt? We need to look at the same challenge and how we evolve and adapt. And that's where, going back to the previous point, transformation, digital transformation is about supporting your business as an overarching. How do I transform how I teach, how I learn, what's my curriculum? All of those component parts need to be almost take a step back, look at what I'm trying to achieve, what are the outcomes I'm trying to achieve, me as an organization, what are my outcomes, my customers, in this case, university, what your students, your applicants, what's their raison d'etre for coming to go to your university? How do you support them with those objectives? And how do you give them the learning and the skills for them to go off and find employment? Because obviously we see that other side of it, Mark, in terms of the drop off, in terms of, there's some stats out in terms of the number of people unemployed under 24, whether they're graduates, whether they are coming out of A levels, whether they're coming out of school, whatever. It's how you reimagine that learning experience and life skills and employment skills to make sure people have got the right skills going forward. And we look at that ourselves in terms of our apprenticeship schemes ourselves at Crimson.
Just thinking about, you've worked with a number of universities across the UK now, and we've had some great success, and then there have been some programs that haven't worked so well, and the reasons are complicated. As
Mm.
we know, it's never black and white. Um, Challenging and changing an organization. I'm always reminded of the way I believe Amazon works, where they will literally create a separate company in a
Mhm.
separate building to challenge the status quo of what Amazon are doing. Now, I don't know whether that it goes to that extreme, but what do you see in the teams that you work with where they are successful? What differentiates them from maybe the programs that don't work so well?
It's trying to set your digital program up for success in terms of that side. So, first and foremost, have I got the right governance model in the one hand, but also have I got the right people with the right critical thinking to take you forward? So, who are you? I call it the managers of the future. Yeah, bringing them into the profile, getting them incentivized for delivering the outcomes, overarching, because recognizing they're shaping their business, evolving their business, and they need to be incentivized to recognize and take on that journey. Interesting, what the model you just talked about there, I have seen that done myself, where we've
Ah,
recommended they set up almost like a new co business to the side, is be that challenger, because and there the challenger can be set up to be that in terms of new processes, new ways of thinking, and necessarily possibly even new solutions, technology to support it, because you've got a heritage over here that's, dare I say, it's the old adage, speedboat and tanker. Yeah, it's very quick to be a speedboat that's very agile and nimble, can adapt very quickly, or is your organization like an oil tanker that's very rigid, very slow to move? Obviously, unless you're in the Iranian waters with Trump at the moment, obviously, I'll put that aside. Um, yeah. But you've got to think in that context. How do I look at my business? How do I take it forward? How do I set it up for success? And it may well be, as you said, thinking in terms of a new co, spinning up a new business to the side to be a
mm,
challenger to my traditional business. Bring on board that small, medium enterprise entrepreneurial thinking expertise.
mm. And
Yeah.
when that isn't the case, do you typically find that people that are, as you say, you've chosen the people with the critical thinking, ideally they're incentivized to drive outcomes. Is that their full-time role? Do you find where it doesn't succeed, they're often having to carry on with the day-to-day? And let's be honest, in a big organization, it's all about protecting and de-risking rather than challenging. It's a different mindset, isn't it?
It is. It is about making sure that you, as I said, you're setting up for success. And it means, if need be, do I need to think about backfill for staff to free them out from their existing day jobs? Because if, as you said, Mark, invariably you get into that world of they're ingrained in their business. You want to pull them out to think separately, think differently. And do I need to backfill to free them up to put that investment in? And it is about investments. It's not just about investing in a technology or project team. It's about investing in your business colleagues and setting up your change and adoption, your organizational change for success as well at the front.
But
Um,
isn't that a permanent thing? If you're saying that change is ongoing, that isn't a temporary thing, is it?
no, but what you're trying to do, it depends on how, obviously, you're setting your business up and you're doing some radical digital transformation, and then
Mm-hmm.
you're setting it up for then evolutionary change there afterwards. And then it
Right.
becomes part of their continual. So once you're setting up that initial rump to set up transforming my business, once I get through that hurdle, I've start to measure, then you're evolving change there afterwards, your continuous improvement from that side. Used to be in the old days, I used to work for Land Rover and Unipart many, many years ago. And we used to have what we call lean thinking, as it was back then, Six Sigma and things of that nature. And some of those philosophies and learning, look at your processes, look at small incremental benefits and gains, how I can improve ultimately my supply chain, if you imagine. How do I make things? How do I work with my suppliers in my supply chain to make them more efficient? Because I can be more efficient. It's how you work across the process and that critical thinking across the board. And some of those basics still exist, they still apply even this new world, it's just bringing it forward. And as you said, Mark, we've been doing this, obviously I've been doing this for 20 years, my role in terms of this stuff. Some of these things have been around there for that time. It's now thinking, and now setting yourself for success and continually improving as you go forward.
Yeah, it's almost taking the lessons from a production line in automotive and applying that to
Exactly,
services.
Yeah. It is getting to that way. You look at it back in the days of manufacturing has been radicalized with the introduction of robotics and processes and that side, and you've got your Kanban processes, your logistics supports, all of that, and bring things in just in time, all those sort of things we used to have in the supply chain world. You're now applying that in terms of traditional, dare I say, businesses, office-based working. It's equally going to be transforming as we go forward. And if you don't transform, Mark, somebody will do it and you'll be left behind. You've got to continue thinking about this as your business. How do I remodel? How do I reapply in terms of versus my competitors, and what are my customers expecting going forward? Go back to the university analogy earlier. Now, what are applicants looking for in the future? How do they want to learn? It's not about how you've traditionally done things in the past. It's thinking about the new world, reimagining your business and your processes, and thinking in that context and how you support that.
Yeah. Do you think most organizations you work with have a handle on the outcomes they are trying to drive? Because I think when we speak to some clients at the end of a project, and it's often too early to know if the outcomes have been delivered, but it seems like either the objectives have changed midway through, or maybe they just don't want to share them commercially. I don't know, but I get the sense sometimes that there isn't the clarity you'd expect around, why are we doing this?
I think you've got to look at it, obviously, at a board in a business. They'll be setting in terms of their outcomes they're trying to achieve, in terms of whether they're running KPIs, key performance indicators. Put that aside for a minute. But you're then looking at it in terms of the business will have its macro level outcomes that they're trying to achieve, which is variably revenue growth, share price, profitability, all those good of things. It's then breaking that down into initiatives that people can recognize. How do I do incremental gains against those outcomes? Yeah, you set a program up, and I said it may well take, it might be evolutionary. It takes you're not going to achieve it in the life cycle of a digital program. Hence, it's continually improving. It might be 2-3 years before you start to see those full outcomes start to be measured, and then you go again. Yeah, and that's where things change. Markets move, people change, boards change, objectives change. People outside, but ultimately the fundamentals are still the same. It's just how you translate it and make sure you've got the right initiatives to support it. Most things change in terms of organizations either because of people change at the top, or there's been a new wave of, competition. It's obviously easier in terms of your manufacturing widgets. Then obviously it's slightly different because you're manufacturing and selling widgets, and the technology moves on, and what are my widgets I'm selling competitive in that context, and am I got the right proposition, and am I supporting that? Am I marketing in the right way? Am I my supply chain set up in the right way? Is the way my customers proposition, they understand what I'm trying to sell? There's all of those contributory factors all need to breed in, but it is about evolution, continually evolving, and rather than being setting up a big program, set it up, oh, we've gone again, we start again, oh, we'll do it again. It's about recognizing this world evolves, it goes forward. It's and it's going to get into that ways of thinking. Yeah.
And it's a bit of a set shift. So I suppose let's finish with leadership then. So leadership's clearly very important. What are you seeing from good leaders, and what's working there, maybe compared to where programs don't necessarily have that strong leadership?
I think the key one there, Mark, in terms of that leadership, is recognizing, don't be frightened to bring in experts to help you and challenge your business. Yeah, bring on because you may not have the right expertise, but you need to draw upon expertise to help me and drive me forward. And maybe sector knowledge, maybe they've got something in terms of that side. Maybe you need experience in terms of leading a transformation program. Have I got the right governance set up in the way I'm going to lead it? And this, whether it's steering boards or the sort of, I call it traditional project management capabilities apply to digital transformation. You make sure you've got your governance set up over there on that side. And the other one as well is making sure, I said before, programs these days are change led. Yeah. People seem to think they do projects, they do digital programs, and you go in and they're led by IT. I'll say IT has a massive contributory factor to a digital program, but digital transformation should be led by the business for the business, and IT is a solution to support that, not the other way around. The number of times I go in and take the example you gave earlier, oh, we need to do a technology refresh. Oh, it's IT leading on that. Well, actually, it's technology refresh to support an outcome-led organization, and the business should be supporting that, should be driving it, and they should be looking at their business processes at the same time to support. Let's be honest, don't just go and put new technology in, but it works the way I've always done. Take the opportunity to look at how your processes work, your outcome that you're trying to achieve, and have I got the right proposition? Take the opportunity to do a review from that side. And I said, don't be frightened to bring in experts to support you through that journey, whether they are, I said, sector-led industry experts, whether they are program experts into the digital program and how to run digital programs, or they are experts, if you are putting technology solutions in doing a refresh, they can come and support you with that and challenge the norm. Yeah. The old days of implementing an ERP system, that's gone. I'm sorry if anybody's an SAP consultant out there or a F&O consultant in the Microsoft world. The things are moving on. It's no longer about just putting in business systems and technology. It's reimagining how I do my business.
And I suppose a quick plug for Crimson there, because we do have a number of workshops where we can help people set up for success.
Exactly, Mark. And yeah, exactly. It's about how you set it up for success. Again, I know we've got a number of different things. I always label them as assess to progress. It's that assessment of where you are today to put the right building blocks in to move forward and progress forward and make sure you're set up for success with the delivery, the outcomes you're trying to achieve, and how does that manifest itself in terms of practical, achievable objectives. The old SMART objectives used to in the old days. How do you break it down into SMART objectives?
Yeah, breaking that elephant down. Tom, appreciate your time. I know you're busy as always, here, there, and everywhere, helping everybody. So thanks for taking the time today.
No problem at all. Cheers, Mark.
All right, thanks, Tom. Okay, so there you go. If you're undertaking a digital transformation project or thinking about doing that at the moment, as Tom mentioned, we do have workshops to be able to get your team in the room, have a think about how you set up for success so that you can start off in the right direction. I think it's always good to have an external perspective to get you set up. So if that's something that you're interested in, go to crimson.co.uk, getting in touch with us. We also do have funding available sometimes from Microsoft, which can help us with some proof of concepts as well. So we can talk to you about that as well. But in the meantime, hope you have a great week, and we'll see you again very soon on the Digital Lounge.